hard. Woo! Kitchener Rangers, you're watching Post to Post.
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. And first, I'll just discuss this jersey, an old classic Miramichi Merchants jersey.
Nice.
I don't remember ever wearing this in a game, but it's part of my collection, my hockey bag. And if I did wear it, it was when I was early teens, I think. It's quite tight on me. So
Yeah.
as a kid with shoulder pads on and stuff, it would be obviously fit me back then. But yeah, old classic Miramichi Merchants.
Yeah, the Miramichi Merchants were a pretty popular team in the Doketown Arena in the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
And the reason they were called the Merchants was because the local businesses sponsored the team. They all, pitched in, and the team was created, and they went all the way to some provincial playoffs. I know one time we played I wasn't on the team, but I followed the team. We played the Val d'Amour Black Cats up in Campbellton. And yeah, it didn't end well.
Looks to be the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, it looks like a Detroit
kind of thing. I don't have. This video is about Vegas. I don't have any Vegas gear, unfortunately. I don't have any hats. Don't have any shirts. Don't have any jerseys. Hope to change that in the future, but for right now, unfortunately, I can't wear any Vegas to support. But this specific video was an actual recommendation, suggestion. That's the word I was looking for. By I think his name is Tim in our Discord.
Okay.
And he said it would be interesting to look at who the Vegas Golden Knights picked in the expansion draft, compare it to the choices that were available, and compare how the players they picked are doing compared to the players that they could have picked, how they are doing with their whatever team that they're on now. So I'm comparing. I'm just going to pick out an example here. So Calgary picked Derek Englund, and he's playing okay, but they also had the choice of picking Michael Stone or whatever. So I would look to see how good Michael Stone's doing and how good Derek Englund's doing on Vegas, and decide who would have been the better choice if they could pick now. That doesn't really make sense.
Now, a complicating factor is a lot of the players they picked in the entry draft, they shipped off right away. So how'd you handle that?
And that's the other thing. Okay. I have that in here a little bit, and this is technically subjective, and there's no right or wrong answer here. Yeah. And another thing here is that some of these players were UFAs, and some of the players that they could have chosen were UFAs and didn't for the reason that they were UFAs. Some of these players they picked that got traded, like you said, pretty much right away. And some of these players were goalies that they couldn't pick because they only choose so many goalies, and it's just it's really complicated, and there's injuries too, so it's kind of hard to say what the right decision was. But I did the best I could. I'm going to go through every single team. This might be a little bit long of a video, and I'm going to say who they picked and who they should have picked, in my opinion. Okay. I'm going to compare some stats and stuff.
Cool.
So, and I'm going to go in the order that the draft actually happened. So Colorado was the first team. Vegas picked Calvin Pickard, and then Pickard was traded to Toronto, I think, maybe, or someone. I can't remember. And anyways, they got Tobias Lindbergh, who's 6'3", 215 pounds. He's 22, and a 6th round pick. So with all the goalie problems in Vegas, they maybe could have used Pickard, but
in retrospect,
they got back a guy who was 22, 6'3", and a 6th round pick. So I gave that a check mark. I think they made the right decision based on who they got in return for the person that they picked. This is the whole it took a while to go through all this. So that's a check mark, and I'm going to add up all the check marks and all the X's at the end. I've got a total, and I'll put that behind me or something. Vancouver is the next team, and the Vegas picked Lucas Spiza. And after viewing all of the available players at the time, I do believe that Lucas Spiza was the best choice that they could have made. So that's a check mark. So 2 check marks so far. Arizona was the next team, and they picked Timu Pulkkinen, and he's currently in the AHL. So not really working out, unfortunately. And I believe the best choice, based on something that they couldn't have known, which was the goaltending problems, I believe that they should have taken Louis Domingue. and even then, it's not really that great of a pick. But that's so I had to give that one an X because Pulkkinen's just not working out currently. New Jersey, they took John Merrill. He's only played 5 games so far, and they had the option of taking Keith Kincaid.
But not if they got all these other goalies.
But I know, but that's
the problem.
That's the problem with this entire list. There's got a lot of goalies on here.
Should have got that goalie, that goalie, that goalie, that goalie.
That's basically what it is because there's all the they couldn't have known what was going to happen, and no one could have. So that's why it's funny. But so I had to give them an X.
Sure.
Buffalo, they took William Carey, 20 games played, 2 points. He's a +1, and he's a pretty good defensive player. Mm-hmm. After looking at everything, I did think that they took the best player from Buffalo, so that's got a check mark. Detroit, they took Thomas Nosek, 26 games played, only 6 points, and I think he's played pretty well. Like at times, he's looked so good, but 6 points isn't where he should be, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I had to give that an X. I thought that they should have taken Ferk, one of your favorite players with
Ferk, player with no vowels.
Who has 10 points, or Mrazek, goalie.
Another goalie.
So I had to give an X.
First worked out pretty well on a team that has been underperforming.
Totally,
so,
yeah.
He has done well.
Dallas is next. They took Cody Eakin, 28 games played, 12 points. I'm okay with that. Yep. Cody Eakin is whatever. Or I would have maybe chosen Alexiak because I really like Alexiak's play. Even though his numbers aren't really, they don't look that good. Watching Alexiak play, I like him a lot. So I did give a check mark there because of Cody Eakin. Florida's next. They took Jonathan Marchessault, 25 games played, 25 points. I mean, come on. He's
slam dunk.
If you're just going by points per game, Jonathan Marchessault is the best player on the Vegas Golden Knights. He's at 1 point per game.
Did Gerard Gallant coach Florida when he was on the team then?
He did.
So he had some really good knowledge of him. So
exactly.
Smart.
So that's a check mark for Vegas.
Yeah.
Next is Los Angeles. They took Braden McNabb, 25 games played. He's a +11. That's the highest on the team.
Wow.
Best +-. And that's a check mark. I think Braden McNabb was the best choice. There were a few others on LA too, but I think McNabb was definitely a good choice. Carolina's next. They took Conor Berkeley. He was a UFA, and then he was signed by Florida, and they had the option of taking Cam Ward, and they didn't. So, and another thing, there's players in here that I would have taken, like, say, Cam Ward. Well, we don't know the back-end deals because that happened. And Vegas maybe couldn't have taken Cam Ward because of a back-end deal that was in place or a promise. That's something that I don't know about, so you have to take that into consideration with this list as well. But yeah, they took Conor Berkeley. He's not even on the team anymore, and they could have taken Cam Ward. Cam Ward and Fleury would have been a pretty okay tandem, I think.
I would say.
Winnipeg, they took Chris Thorburn, who was a UFA, and then he signed in St. Louis, so they don't even have him anymore. And I think they could have taken Ben Chariot, or I don't know, I think that's how you say his name. I'm not too familiar, but he's a young defenseman. I think he has a lot of promise. So that's an X for Winnipeg, or for Vegas there. Phillies next. They took Pierre-Edouard Belmar, and he doesn't have a lot of points, but he's a pretty good defensive forward. And after looking at Philly's availability of players, I think that was still the best choice they could have made, so I did give them a check mark there. Tampa, they took Jason Garrison, who's in the AHL currently, and they could have taken Yanni Gourde. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not familiar with him either. 28 games played, 19 points.
Wow.
That would have put him, I think, in the top 4 in the Vegas Golden Knights. So, unfortunately, big missed opportunity there, and that's an X for that one. The Islanders, Jean-Francois Berube, he's in the AHL, and he's playing for Chicago. He's the Rockford Ice Hogs, whatever their affiliate, so he was actually traded, or I can't remember, but they could have taken Josh Bailey. Josh Bailey was available. Josh Bailey has 28 games played and 31 points. So that's a bit of a missed opportunity there.
Yeah,
so that's
really.
an X. Nashville, they took James Neal, 20 games played, 22 points. James Neal was the best choice there, check mark.
Yeah.
Calgary, Derek Inland, 27 games played, 10 points. However, I probably would have taken Michael Stone, and I think he might have been a UFA. I can't really remember. Calgary re-signed him or extended him or whatever. So I did put an X there because maybe it could have worked out contract-wise in Vegas. But I do think Derek Englund was still an okay choice. Toronto, Brendan Leipzig? Leipzig?
Leipzig.
I'm not too familiar with him. I think that was the best option. So that's a check mark. Boston, Colin Miller, 28 games played, 15 points. Not bad. Okay pick, but you could have taken Kudobin,
that would have
who's
worked out.
played really well this year, or you could have taken Subban, who you eventually ended up getting
You got him
anyway via trade. So kind of a weird one there. So I did give an X because it's a check mark at the time, but now looking back, it has to be an X because of the goaltending problems. But Ottawa, Mark Mathot, the best choice was Mark Mathot, but you traded him away. So it still was the best choice, even though you traded him away.
And who'd they get for him? Just picks and things, wasn't
I
it?
think it was just I don't remember. I probably should have looked it up. But San Jose, David Schlemko, and I put an X here because I would have taken Brendan Dillon. I really like Brendan Dillon. I think he's a good defensive defenseman, or Joel Ward, because Joel Ward is a playoff performer. He does a ton of important things on the ice that you don't see. A lot of little things. Joel Ward is really a really important player. He doesn't put up big numbers or anything, but he's a great two-way player. So that's an X. St. Louis, David Perron. Best choice was David Perron, in my opinion. Check mark. New York Rangers, Oscar Lindbergh, which was an okay choice, but I really like Jesper Fast. I would have chosen Jesper Fast. I think he's doing really well this year. I've always liked Jesper Fast, or Michael Grabner. Michael Grabner's a little bit older, but I would have. That's why I would have taken Jesper Fast, because he's younger and has more potential to grow. So X. Edmonton, Griffin Reinhart, not really working out. He's in the AHL, but it still probably was the best choice. I would have taken Reinhart or Russell, but with the recent play of Russell not looking very good, it's maybe looking like Reinhart was the best decision. Even though he's in the AHL, he's got a lot of potential. He's so young. There's so much that could happen to turn him into a great player. Montreal, they took Alexei Emelin, and they traded him to Nashville. And I didn't really understand that a whole lot, but I put an X there because they could have taken Charles Hudon, who's really, really good. He's a really dynamic player, great puck handling skills. So that's an X. Anaheim, they took Clayton Stoner, who is currently, unfortunately, injured. And they could have taken Sami Vatanen, who no longer plays with Anaheim because he got traded to New Jersey. But so I had to put an X there. Minnesota, Eric Halle, 24 games played, 18 points. Eric Halle, I love Eric Halle in Vegas. I love who he plays with. I love his style of play. Big fan of him, and that was the best choice, check mark. Columbus, William Karlsson leads the team in points, 28 games played, 26 points. That was the best choice from Columbus, check mark.
That's a great catch.
Chicago, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, traded to Carolina for a second-round pick. So that was the best choice from Chicago, even though I didn't like the trade. It was the best choice from Chicago, and he got a second. So check mark. Pittsburgh, Marc-Andre Fleury, who's unfortunately injured, but that was the best choice. Check mark.
Yeah.
Washington, Nate Schmidt, 28 games played, 14 points. I do believe that Nate Schmidt was the best option there. Check mark. So if you're keeping track, and maybe you already know because it's behind me, but we have 16 check marks and 15 X's.
Yeah.
So,
and also on that, though, you've got a situation where you've got 30 players or 30 teams offering you players, and you're only able to dress a 23-man roster. So, there's no way that even if they got the best pick from all those teams that they'd even still be with Vegas or not in the AHL or not somewhere else. So the good news is...
I think I added these up wrong.
Oh.
I think they're supposed to be 14 X's. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just realized
there's only 30 at the time because they are number 31.
I counted the check marks. I'm like, okay, I get 16, and then I know, okay, there's 31 teams, 31. So that's 15.
Yeah.
So,
but still, that's pretty good if you look at it from that side of the coin. Because 16 players looks like are your best choice or were your best choice, and you've acquired probably the other 7, through the things you had to do.
Yeah.
And I was when I saw the players that they'd chosen, I was pretty impressed with the picks they made. When I saw them getting rid of a lot of those players, I thought they were crazy.
Yeah, I didn't understand it.
And then here they are, doing quite well. They've had some ups and downs, but more ups, and they're still on pace to
make the playoffs,
do some damage.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy,
and especially since considering the goaltending situation that they've gone through.
Oh my God, yeah.
So it's really impressive. When you have so many players to choose from each team, statistically, it's unlikely you're going to make the best decision. Sometimes you'll get lucky with a few, But statistically, there's so like Tampa. I think there was like 15 choices of players or something crazy from Tampa. But they made a lot of great decisions.
Yeah.
16, I would say 16 out of 30 perfect decisions.
And that's pretty good.
And that's pretty
really good.
So if Seattle or Houston comes into the league, they can only aspire to do as good as this, or I don't know if they'll do better. I think this was maybe a bit of a fluke because a lot of has to be attributed to Gerard Gallant too. You can't predict chemistry.
Exactly,
So.
And I think a lot of this is chemical.
Yeah.
If you'd chosen perhaps a better player on paper that has worked out this season, like a Houdon, for instance, maybe the fit wouldn't be as good.
Yep.
Or maybe it would have been better, but you just can't tell for sure what if. Mm-hmm. All you can do is subjectively put your gut onto it and decide in a list like you did. I think those are great calls that you made.
Thank you. And I think that's when I make predictions, whether it's playoff predictions, seasonal predictions, point predictions, trade predictions, I never think I'm right because it's so hard to predict something in the NHL.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible because you look last year, I predicted that the Nashville Predators would beat the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round and then continue on to the conference finals. And people thought I was crazy. But I was right. But then if you look in the East, like my Western Conference was almost identical to what it was, but my Eastern Conference was absolute garbage. Like I think every single prediction in the East wrong.
Yeah.
So and that's what's hard. It's like you get some right, but then you get way more wrong than you get right. But it's fun. It's part of the fun. So
yeah.
Vegas predicted here the best they could, and it looks like they did a pretty good job.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks Tim for that suggestion. It was a long process to go through all this, but it was a fun process, and I hopefully you guys enjoyed that too. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button, and we'll see you in the next one. Adios.